So, there has been something that has been on my mind for a while, and I just kind of feel like talking about it because it's something that, I always think about, but I've never really had anyone that I could say it to. And I figured this is just a good platform where even if people aren't responding, I can at least outwardly express it and try to maybe have a bit more peace of mind about it. So I just kind of wanted to talk about the idea of people coming in and out of my lives. Well, in and out of my life, but in and out of people's lives in general, I guess you could say. Because I've been at college now for what, almost 4 to 5 months, and I have made a lot of friends. They're pretty cool people that live on the same floor as me, some other people that do robotics. But at the same time, I still find myself considering some of my best friends being some of the people that I was friends with in high school, but I hardly even see or speak to those people anymore. I've probably talked to only like a handful of people, and most of them are from robotics, and it's not even like they reached out to me, it's because I was at events that they were also at. Like at one point, I went to an off-season competition with the new team that I'm mentoring, and I talked to some people from the team I was on in high school. But like I said, it's not like they were reaching out to me or anything. I just happened to be there. And recently, I went to kickoff with my old team for the new game, and it was something where I went to them, and I did also see some of my other friends there from high school who have also graduated. Some had graduated same time as me, someone graduated before me. And, while they did seem interested in seeing me and talking to me, I hadn't talked to any of those people in months, and I'm sure it'll be months before I ever see or talk to any of them again. And there are other people that I wasn't in robotics with that I've talked to every now and then. Like, I think I've only texted a couple people, maybe a few times, but I've never actually hung out with anyone in person. And then there are some people that I just haven't even talked to since graduation. Like you could see maybe on social media, like they'll like my posts every now and then. So I guess that's the furthest extent that some of them have seen anything from me. And it just feels kind of weird because, like I said, I consider those people to be some of my best friends still. Because there are just all these times that I'll be hanging out with people here at college, but then I just can't help but think at some point, yeah, but I had more fun with people in high school. I'll always be reminiscing about these things, and I know that it is always nice to reminisce about stuff, have those good memories, but then at the same time, it just kind of gives me that feeling of, well, man, I just really miss that, and not just like, oh, yeah, that was a good time, but I wish that I were still hanging out with some of those people. And that's not to be like, oh, I don't like any people here at college because they are, again, really cool people. But, it's just those bonds that I built up for years. And it's like, oh, well, it, I just don't like the idea of those bonds just falling apart for nothing. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, if these people aren't even really that interested in seeing me, then how much of a bond was it really? Like, you just kind of think, I spent like 4 to 6 years knowing these people, and then it's like all of a sudden that just disappears. Which, honestly, I guess that's not even the first time that happened to me because in elementary school, I knew those people for like 6 or 7 years. But then I went to middle school, and while I still interacted with some of those people, because I still had some classes with them, there were just most people that I pretty much hardly ever or never saw again. Because then by the end of high school, pretty much all of my friends were people that I'd met by seventh grade and onward. I think there was only like one person that I'd gone to elementary school with that I still talk to every now and then. So I guess that's not the first time that's happened, but I guess back then it didn't really feel like it meant as much because I was only like 12, so it didn't like you don't really think about that shit as much versus now where being a young adult, I'm more aware of that and those bonds are built up a bit more. You are better capable of choosing the people that you have more things in common with. You start to value that person and how they interact with you. And it just really sucks when that just disappears. And I guess in a way, it's like it definitely doesn't help that I go to a college where I pretty much know no one beforehand. And also, since I'm at a college where breaks don't line up with other colleges, so it's kind of unlikely that it'll be easy for me to see people. But even so, like, it'd be nice if, you could talk to people beforehand. Well, not beforehand, I don't know. Like, communicate with people in other ways, like if I were to text people or through social media, which, like, the thing is, though, is I know I'm saying all this shit and I make it sound like it's entirely other people's fault, but I get like, in a way, a lot of it is also my fault because I do, like, I could just as easily contact people first, but at the same time, it's like just from my experiences, it feels like I'm almost always the person who has to contact someone first. Like, I've never really been the kind of person that people seek out to hang out with or even just to talk to. Like, maybe one or two of my friends at most will contact me first. And, that's not to be like, oh, none of my other people, I don't consider them friends. It's just that, like, I do enjoy hanging out with them, but how much did they really enjoy hanging out with me? Which is what kind of makes me wonder, like, okay, how much am I living in the past? Like, is there a point where, I just need to move on? Like, was I over exaggerating those friendships? Or is it still appropriate to want to hang out with some of those people? Because, like, I look at a lot of my friends and I'm like, yeah, I could tell that I consider them a closer friend to me than they do to themselves. But that doesn't mean that we weren't friends. That just means like we had different circles of friends and the way that those people interacted with them was different than how I interacted with my friends. And like, I don't know, it's just a very weird thing because I just always find myself reminiscing about these times. And, I just keep thinking, like, I wish that I had really known how much those moments really mattered before they would have stopped. That way I could have, like, it always is like hindsight 2020. You always think like you would have done things differently. And I guess if I could have done things differently, I would have put in more of that effort to try to like build up those friendships before I left. That way then some of them could have stayed a bit more now. Because like aside from seeing people from robotics at robotics related events, I've basically seen none of my friends from high school. Like, I've only seen one of my friends from high school, and it was because the day I was heading home, my dad had to stop into some store to get something, and while we were there, I happened to run into someone while he was leaving. So I only talked to him for like a couple minutes, but aside from that, I've basically seen no one. And, I know that I am building these new relationships, and I'm not saying I wish I didn't have them. I'm just saying I wish that I could have sort of the best of both worlds of having my old friends while making the new ones. Which, if I'd gone to a different school, that probably would have been exactly what would have happened. because like I didn't even think I'd actually be going where I am. I was assuming I was gonna go to another school where most people I know would have gone. And like whenever my parents were talking to me about this kind of shit, they'd be like, "Oh, well, you're gonna make new friends, and even if you went to some other school, you probably wouldn't see all of your old friends all the time." I'm like, "Yeah, but I would still see them every now and then. Like I would still put in that effort." Because I mean, like right now, my best friend goes to a different school, and I guarantee that I probably would have still seen him a lot. Because like he's older than me, but even though he was gone, we still maintain that friendship just because we have so much in common and we enjoy each other's company. But there are still other friends that I have that are or that graduated the same year as me, where they're all off at different schools. And then there are some friends I have that are still in high school. So it's like, okay, I know where they are. Like I know sort of what they're going through because they're going through what I went through. But then there are the people that graduate at the same time as me, where they're all going through different things at different times. So I feel like with them it's hard to line up. But then with the friends I have that are still in high school, like yeah, I'm better. Like I have a better understanding of their schedules and what their lives are like right now. At the same time, they are still living their own individual lives with the friends they still have. So I just kind of sit there wondering, like, do they even remember me at this point? Not like, oh, like Jacob who, like, who's that guy, but like, how often do people think of me? I suppose. So I guess just the whole thing that I think about is how much am I still living in the past, really? Like, I know that people always talk about how high school's supposed to be some of the best years of your life. And, I kind of do get that. Like, that was definitely a lot of fun. There aren't really too many things I would do differently for high school, except, like I said, I probably would have tried to build up those better bonds with some of my friends so I could keep hanging out with them. And I don't know, I feel like there are times I do live in the past too much because, like, whenever I do hang out with some of my friends who are at high school, I always feel like for some reason, and like I always keep trying to remind myself like these guys aren't replacements for my friends in high school. Like I try to not feel like I'm getting too attached because I don't want to feel like I'm replacing my friends from high school because then I feel like I'm letting them go. And I don't want to just completely let them go as if they meant nothing to me. But at the same time, I almost wonder, how realistic am I being? Like, am I thinking, like, what are the odds that I'm going to see some of these people again anyway? I don't know. Like, this is just something, like I said, that always kind of weighs heavily on me. It's just a weird topic. I'm sure I'm not the only person who goes through it, but this is something that just kind of definitely has kind of been a weight on my head, and I just kind of wanted to outwardly talk about it. If people listen to this, maybe they could relate. If they don't relate, that's understandable because I have a weird fucking head. And if people don't even listen to this, that's fine too. I just wanted to talk about it, because it helps to hear the thoughts coming out of my mouth instead of just having 50 different thoughts whizzing around all at once. So, and it's like 3 in the morning. Most of the people on this floor are asleep, so that's why I figured this would be an easier thing to do. Because I don't have a lot of people going around doing shit, making noise, talking to me and stuff. And, if I ever have other random thoughts, this may be what I do again. Like, I'm not trying to do this shit for, like, views. I'm just trying to do this to just help myself think things through. And, if other people listen and they have some kind of opinion that could help out or they're relating, then that's pretty useful. So, y'all have a good night. I guess this is during the night for me. If you're watching this at like 2:30 in the afternoon, then I hope you're having a good day. Bye.